All right, so we'll go ahead and get started. As we usually do, why don't we just go around and introduce ourselves and say a little bit about your case and maybe something you're looking forward to this weekend. And I'll get us started and then I'll tag you in. So my name is Sarah and I have been with CASA for almost 4 years now. And I supervise, ooh, we got someone in. Give him a second to join us. Hi, Paul. Thanks for being here. We're introducing ourselves, saying how long we've been with CASA, a little bit about your case, and something you're looking forward to this weekend. And so I'm looking forward to this weekend, Red Shoe. It's our biggest fundraiser of the year. And it's something I really look forward to, even as an introvert. I have a lot of fun at this event, so I'm excited about it. And get to see Judge Calloway sing, as she always does. So hopefully that'll all go as planned. So I'm gonna tag in Philip just because I can see your face.
Hi, I'm Philip. I've been with CASA for about 4 years. I have a case now with a autistic child that's been with the foster home for 3 or 4 years, and they talk about maybe a TPR, but it seems like the hearing keeps getting postponed further out and further out, and just nothing happens on the legal front. So it's difficult to deal with because the child is becoming more and more ingrained in his foster family, but maybe he belongs with his biological mother, but we won't get to that until who knows when.
Yeah, super frustrating.
I've got a hike I'm going to go join some friends on this Saturday. So
Oh,
that's what I
awesome.
look forward to.
Where are you going hiking?
Uh, I think we're going to go to Burgess Falls.
Oh, wonderful. Love
Yeah.
it there. And you just got back from your epic trip, right?
Yeah, I've floated the Grand Canyon 11 days on the river there.
Amazing. Well, I
Yeah.
want to hear about it when we check in next week. That's
All
awesome.
right.
Um, Paul, you're it.
Hey, hey, good morning or afternoon. My name's Paul Bond. I have been a CASA for, I think, 4 or 5 years at this point. And I have a case right now with twin boys. They're in different homes, but going going pretty well. I think they've recently had some visits with a family that's looking to possibly adopt them. Um, so I think they're even going to be with them maybe this weekend. And but I'm trying to figure all that out. We just found out that the caseworkers have been changed. Um, yeah, you were copied on that email, Sarah. She just sent it a little while ago. But yeah, anyway, so it's going okay. And for this weekend, I'm just looking forward to getting outside and doing some gardening, yard work, that kind of stuff. My wife and I enjoy doing together. So
Awesome. It looks like it's going to be pretty for it.
yeah,
Um, so I haven't seen that email yet, but I'll look for it.
I
And
searched. You were copied on it. I searched for your name. It seems like it was there. So
yeah, I've just stepped away from email for a bit this morning. But that gives me a wonderful chance to plug. If you ever do see that I'm left off an email, if you wouldn't mind tagging me in, folks that are watching this recording, hopefully, and just saying, hey, my supervisor or team lead, Sarah, was not copied on this. Please include her moving forward. And I say that not because, and I say this a million times, I'm not trying to micromanage you and or anything like that, but inevitably there will be some time on the case where you are left off an email that I am on and vice versa. And that's the way we can just kind of tag each other in and make sure we're getting the relevant info that we need. So that's why I ask folks to do that. Thank you, Paul. Miss Caldwell, good to see your
Yeah.
face.
Good morning. Um, I'm Constance Caldwell, and I've been with CASA for going on 19 years now. It'll be 19 years in May. I'm the case I currently have is 5 little ones, all siblings in one foster care home. They're doing quite well. I'm scheduled to see them on Tuesday. We have a TPR hearing coming up sometime in May and a permanency hearing that has not been scheduled yet. And that's where they are. They're doing pretty good. The last time I saw them at their daycare, they were doing very well. I'm looking forward this weekend to attending my sorority's gala, which is our largest fundraising activity for the year, and that's Saturday night. That's why I can't go to yours, Sarah.
That'll be so fun, but we'll miss you. You will be missed. Thank you. Miss Anne.
Okay, I'll come in for a minute here on the video. And I'm going back out because I'm eating.
Fair.
I've been a CASA for 17 years. And I'm working on a couple of cases right now, but the one that I'll share is I'll ditto on the frustration with the legal system. A case that I've been on for 4 years. The two kids definitely need to be adopted. The DCS attorney was afraid that it would be denied in juvenile court after we had a hearing to suspend visitation in September. So she pulled it and filed it in civil court. And the parents still haven't been assigned attorneys. So it's just languishing. And it's extremely frustrating. So they're doing great in the foster home. That's the good news. But it's very difficult for the foster mom, particularly. What I am looking forward to this weekend is celebrating my 44th wedding anniversary with my husband.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's amazing.
It's an accomplishment.
Thank you for sharing. Yeah, I hear a lot of the frustration these days. There's also, there always has been, but there's a real attorney shortage right now. The tried and true attorneys, it seems like the same 10 attorneys take all of the cases, are not taking new cases on. They're telling me like, it's at this point, it's not ethical for me to take more cases because I can't serve the ones that I have. I was in court the other day. It was a status hearing to just, it is what it sounds like, to kind of see what's going on with the case. And the kids didn't have an attorney because they recused themselves, and the mom fired her attorney, and they literally tried to call every attorney on the list and none of them would take the case. So they just reset it for another status hearing in July. So I hear you. I don't know what there is to do about it. Judge does some recruitments occasionally where she'll go to like graduating law classes and plead the case to try to get people to come over. But it's a challenging role. So I don't know what there is that we could do about it, but if someone has great ideas about it, happy to talk to you. Lindsay, last but not least.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I was gonna turn my camera on, but I'm actually driving right now. Pop it on a minute when I stop. I was actually just had a visit with one of my kids at Coffee County Middle School, which is a little bit of a drive. But my name is Lindsay Reed, and I've been a CASA advocate for a little over 1 year now. So I'm, I guess, the newbie of the group. So impressed with all these double-digit advocates. I currently have a case with 3 kids, and they're all in different placements in different counties. One of whom just got moved to the Memphis area, so I don't know that I'll personally be able to be serving her. And then the other 2 are spread out a little bit as well. And I guess the development in my case most recently is that the decision was just made by the team to move towards TPR and make that the primary goal instead of return to parent. So that's kind of a poignant shift from what we were aiming for before this week. And well, this weekend I'm somewhat looking forward to relaxing because my big weekend was kind of last weekend, and I went to Pigeon Forge, Gatlinburg, Dollywood, for the first
Nice.
time. I've just never made it out there in, over a decade, but I had a little girls trip last weekend. So just relaxing this weekend.
Fun. Well, I hope you had fun in the Redneck Riviera. Love that. So yeah, I am going to open the floor to see if anybody has, well, first, let me address something that you said, Lindsay, about potentially not working with that one youth. If you can do video visits with her, we can keep that case open. If it's just one child and they move an hour outside of Nashville, then we would typically close that case. But since you have the two other kiddos, and I know that they're far away too, we would try to keep that open with the hope that she would step down eventually somewhere closer. But yeah, we can discuss that on a case-by-case basis, whether or not that's feasible.
Okay. I thought there was another CASA advocate out in that same area too that you mentioned might be able to do some in person as well.
Yes.
I can do the video as long as that it's the Rose Center, as long as they're willing to facilitate that. I mean, they
Yes,
seem to have.
my coworker Alexa goes out there, and Kim Webb lives there, who's a longtime CASA volunteer. So yes, thank you for reminding me about that. We can talk about that too. I'm going to put that on my list of things to do. And that's Kayla.
Kayla Kelly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know that
Kaylee.
the Rose Center advocates were on RCFTM, and they seem to indicate, at least for other parties who wanted to have video or calls with her, they seem to have pretty like rigid scheduling of those. So I would just have to find out what the parameters are for them to help facilitate
Yeah.
that, because I know it's only like 1 hour a day on certain days of the week or something.
I think they'll
And the
be
kids,
more flexible with CASAs though.
okay, I hope so.
Yeah, I think so. Because I tend to schedule them with the youth's therapists when we have to do that. So
Okay.
that's typically how that works. If anything is typical in the CASA world. So yeah, I just wanted to open the floor now to see if there's anything about your case that you would like to discuss with the group. Everything's going totally smoothly for everyone.
I have a question, Sarah. Because we talked about this week when we had our check-in, and I thought it would be good to share with everybody, but I don't know if that I can explain things as well as you can. But in my case, I've got twin boys that are in different homes, and the plan has been all along to have the boys adopted together. I know that that's what they want, but I've got, one boy who is kind of on the spectrum. I think, he's not, I don't know how to say it, but, he's kind of behind in terms of, you know what I'm saying?
Do you want to share about their age just for context?
Yeah, they're just wrapping up 8th grade, so they're 13, be in high school next year. But so the one boy, he's great. There's no problems. He's like I said, he's kind of on the spectrum, and the other boy is, there's some things that pop up behaviorally and at school and things like that sometimes he has to get sent home and things like that. So and this has now been going on for a couple of years, I guess, at this point. The foster parent of the boy who's on the spectrum is asking, at what point do we if we can't find anybody that will adopt both of them, at what point do we start looking at having them adopted separately? You know what I mean? And the last time we had a meeting with everybody on the team, somebody said, well, that it's still the plan to have them adopted together. And I just was not really clear, when does it become time to look at doing the adoption separately? Because Frank feels like, Cody could be adopted, like, that there would be people out there that would take him. And I think he's feeling like Cody's kind of suffering at the expense of his twin brother, who sometimes makes it hard for them to be adopted together. I don't know. So how does that kind of officially work, Sarah?
I have thoughts on this, but I'm curious if other people who have been doing this longer want to share their opinion. Ms. Caldwell.
Yeah, and that's a good
Everyone.
question for some of you who have been doing this for a long time. It's like, we as CASAs, when do we step in and say, that we think maybe it's time for this to go a different direction? And is that appropriate?
How long have the boys been in foster care?
I
can look.
2 years-ish. It hasn't been super long time, but let's say maybe 2-3 years tops.
Okay. And is efforts being made to find an adopted home for both?
That is correct. And as a matter of fact, I mean, right now there is a family that they visited with who wants to, I say want to, I don't know if they want to adopt both of them, but there's been visits. I know that they're going to be there with them this weekend. I think the father is in the military and he's about to be deployed. But so they want to get one more visit in before he goes away for a little while. So I mean, I could be saying this all at it's a moot point, maybe, hopefully, but let's just say this situation doesn't develop the way we want it to, and it doesn't work out, then we're back to square one again. So does there ever come a point where we say, look, I think we need to look at them being adopted separately?
2 years and 5 months.
Okay. Yeah, I saw 2 to 3 years. Yeah.
Well, maybe we need to look and see what happens this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
And if the foster parents feel that they can take the second child. But if it continues to be this way, I think you would need to go ahead and try and seek separate adoptions.
But who makes that call, I guess, is what I'm trying to figure out. And when do they make it?
Wouldn't that be a team, Sarah?
Yes, ma'am. So for my other cases the kids are in full guardianship, which means that the parents no longer have rights and they're wards of the state. They have what's called IRP meetings on a regular basis, like every month or so. Is that happening for your case?
IRP?
I don't know. Don't ask me what that stands for. But it's like the adoption specialists come to those meetings and kind of weigh in and check in and see kind of, for lack of a better word, how adoptable the kids are.
Yeah.
And they look at like options and things like that. Let me do some digging to figure out what the acronym IRP stands for, first of all, and see why that's not happening. Or maybe, Paul, if you wouldn't mind asking, once I find out what that acronym stands for, if you could ask the new caseworker.
Yeah.
Like just, it's my understanding that these meetings take place when kids are in full guardianship. Are those scheduled? Something like that, however you want to put it. And that's where those kind of decisions are made in kind of that setting, but it's not just like a team decision. There is something called a HART assessment, HART. And again, don't ask me what that stands for. I'll find out about that too. And that's like a special assessment that they do when they're trying to figure out whether it's appropriate and legal, not really legal, whether
Yeah.
it like makes the most sense to separate the kids. And what they do for those, my understanding is it's pretty involved. They talk to the kids' therapists, they talk to the caregivers, they talk to like anyone that they can talk to really that would have like the most information. And then they pull those findings and come up with a recommendation. But I don't think that there's like, it has to happen in 2 years and 6 months. Like, I think
Right.
it's just like organically happens, and however long it takes to do the assessment, which in this case that I have right now took like 3 or 4 months
Hmm.
for them to do that. And that was a big sibling group though. It's 5 kids and 3 different placements. So it was a bit trickier.
Yeah.
So, but it was real clear that they needed to be separated because they had some really great pre-adoptive placements, that they were in currently. So it was like more clear, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So, but yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah.
Okay,
Good.
cool.
Just trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
Hey, on another note, I did want to ask. So I serve on the Tennessee CASA board. I'm the vice president of that board, and we look to serve all of the CASAs across the state. And there's an annual conference coming up in Murfreesboro on May 17th. And I am just curious if anybody, volunteers, were you aware of this conference? Have you received emails or anything letting
Did
you
I not email
know?
you guys about that?
I don't, well,
Yeah, I think you
Yeah,
did.
you did.
Yes.
okay. Well,
She did.
I'm
I
glad.
I know I've been spending a lot of emails lately, so I apologize for that.
Yeah.
Plus you guys are getting that newsletter now too. And I worry that we are over emailing you, and that things are getting lost in the yeah, in the
Well,
fray
it
of the emails.
obviously got lost on me, but it for volunteers, it's in Murfreesboro, 9 to 3 o'clock. I don't exactly know the agenda, but I do know that for volunteers, it's free.
Yeah,
So that's obviously that's got to count for some sort of training or something
yeah,
like that,
absolutely.
and then it's a good chance to meet some of the folks that work for CASA, like Sara, but in other parts of the state. And I think, just learn through shared experiences and stuff like that. So just wanted to make sure everybody knew about that. I am going to attend.
Awesome. I will see you there.
Okay, good.
Thank you for plugging that.
Thanks.
Hey, can I just weigh in
Yeah.
about your case and the boys and the adoption together or apart? Oops.
Yeah, please.
I mean, as an advocate, I would want to know what's the relationship that the boys have with each other.
They have a good relationship. They do. So I'm not suggesting that they should be not adopted together. That has been the plan the whole time. And I was just with them last week or so. We met up at like a trampoline park, and they were running around and having a great time. So we can all see that that's the best way to go. But now it's been almost 2.5 years, and Sara can attest to this. One of the boys, I mean, on the spectrum, he's such a sweet kid. He's he's just a great kid, and I think his foster father, sees that in him and knows that he would be, he'd be a great kid in a family somewhere. So he's asking that stuff to everybody too, because he's getting a little frustrated that nothing's happening. But again, maybe that's all changed.
Paul, do you want to share about like why they're not in the same home and the issues around that and with the visits? That might provide a little more.
Oh, wow. Okay. So, that when they were there, they were adopted gosh, I don't know how many years ago they were adopted by, I would say, an older woman. She may have been in her 60s or 70s when she adopted the boys, and she passed away. Like, she got cancer and she died a few years ago.
Hmm.
And so um, the mom who adopted them, who passed away, her sister, their aunt, she brought them in for a while, but she couldn't handle both of them. So she went to DCS and says, I think the one on the spectrum, she kept him, quote unquote, but the other one had to go to another family. But then even that got to be too much for her. So while the one boy had already gone to a separate family, now the other one, they wouldn't take him too, so he had to go to another family. And it's kind of been like that ever since. So it was just kind of a weird timing thing in a way.
It's my understanding that there's also some like physical aggression at times when the boys are together.
Yeah, that's true. You might call it roughhousing, like boys that are 10, 11, 12, whatever are going to do. But I do think that they really do care for each other. And I think
Yeah, absolutely.
you know what I mean? Sometimes, if you're not used to seeing them together and playing the way they do, yeah, it can be a little bit much at times. So when you look at the fact that this woman whose sister died, she tried to bring the boys in. She also was a little bit older, trying to take care of both of them as even pre-teens, and it got to be too much for her. What gets frustrating about it is that one of them was in Murfreesboro, the other one is in Springfield, so they're really super far apart. And now you're trying to get them together as much as you can, and the folks at DCS are, one person's going up to get one and the other, and then they meet somewhere in between, and that can be, as you guys know, when they're split up like that can be tough too. But I think things seem to be moving in a good direction, so hopefully it will all take care of itself.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Miss Caldwell or Anne or anyone, do you know what IRP stands for, or HART?
I do not.
Okay,
I do not either.
it was worth a shot. Side note, I really like that art behind you, Paul. That's really cool.
That's an artist named Miles Maley. He's
Uh-huh.
a local guy. Apparently in Nashville, there used to be a somewhat kind of famous taxi cab that had a lot of names of country singers and famous people on it, and that's kind of his version of that.
That's so cool.
I think my parents gave that to me when I got married over 30 years ago. So
Oh, wow.
I'm
It's
not
really
good at
cool.
remembering those things, but yeah, it's been a long time since that cab was roaming the streets of Nashville. I know that much.
Love it. A little bit of Nashville lore for everyone. So, okay, thank you for bringing that to the table. Does anyone else want to share? I was thinking about what we could talk about today, and I thought it might be kind of a fun thing to do, if you guys are into this idea, to share about a time where you felt like you were effective in your advocacy, or you felt like we're always so down on DCS and caseworkers and team leaders, where you saw a caseworker being effective, or team leader, or a guardian ad litem. I just thought, like, end the week on a positive note, share about something that you felt was effective. So why don't we just take a minute to think about it? And then if folks you feel like sharing, and I'm not going to make you, I I thought that might be kind of cool. Are you guys into this idea? Cool. Paul says he is, so we're all going to do it. So let's just take a minute of dead air, which I know can be a little awkward. You can go off screen if you want to, and think.
Sarah,
Ma'am.
I'm not sure I understand the assignment.
So share about a time where you felt like you were effective in your advocacy, like you asked a good question, you put something clever in your court report, or that the magistrate paid attention to, or you just had a really good day with a kiddo that you were working with and they shared with you. Is it anything kind of positive that you want to share out about, brag on yourself a little bit, or just share something positive? I just thought it might be kind of a cute way to end the week.
Okay.
Or you can share about like an effective caseworker or attorney, just anything positive.
You know, I had, I think it was my first case, whenever that was, 5 years ago or something like that. Back, it was before COVID, and back when we could, you know, pick up kids and transport them and do that stuff, which I kind of wish we still could do at times. But, you know, he was a high school boy, and he was getting ready to, I mean, yeah, he was going to age out of the system pretty soon. I think he was already 17 years old when I got the case. Um, but back then I could go and meet him, and we would go have lunch every time, and I would you know, let him pick where he wanted to go. And I just remember one time getting to know him, and he, you know, asking him what he wanted to do, and he mentioned that he saw an ad, like he was into cars and trucks and things like that, and then he'd actually seen an ad for Lincoln Tech, which is the old Nashville
Auto diesel school.
auto diesel school or something like that. Um, and so I did some research into that school and found out that they did tours, and I went ahead and set one up. So I picked them up one afternoon, and we went out there and we did the tour, and we walked around with folks and saw the campus and saw people working on engines and teaching him, you know, just learning all the things that he could do. You know, I don't know what ended up happening with him, because like I said, he aged out of the system, and, you know, we tried to get him set up with some things that could help him out after he turned 18. But we kind of just fell out of touch. And I've tried to track him down before, but I can't, you know, find a number or anything for him. But, you know, at the time, you know, at least I walked away thinking, well, maybe, you know, that experience, maybe that's gave him the inspiration or the idea to try to go to school and learn how to work on cars and trucks, and, you know, get a job and be able to support himself, because it was definitely going to be tough for him being on his own like that. So anyway, that's what came to mind when you mentioned the assignment.
Awesome. I love that. Thank you, Paul. Did anyone else think of anything? All right, some of you have been doing this for over 15 years. I know you've done something cool in that time.
This is Lindsay Reed. I have not been doing it for that long, but just for the sake of I have my phone plugged in my car, but my battery is continually dropping. I don't know why. I guess assume maybe it drains it abnormally, but just in case I drop off, um I'll just share mine. I mean, I have a 15-year-old boy as one of my kiddos, and I guess I just felt the most productive after some months of visits when he finally did open up to me, because the first several visits and months, it was a little bit trying. Conversation felt a little bit like pulling teeth. I would grasp at straws on topics that I thought, he was into, whether it was like Xbox or, just anything that might spark him to talk. And our last several visits, he does open up and talk a lot more. And so it's kind of a big breakthrough on that front, even though I don't necessarily know that what we're talking about is that productive, but steps in the right direction. So I guess the moral is just keep at it, tenacity, keep showing up, keep talking, and eventually it'll happen.
That's so great. I love it. I want to brag on Lindsay. Anne was busy. Anne is her peer coordinator. So I'm kind of a little more hands off with Lindsay in her case. But Anne had something going on. So I was listening in, and you were just like killing it in that meeting, like asking all the good questions. And like, I felt like you were helping make progress, like just questions that needed to be asked that the professionals weren't asking. And I was just like, get it, Lindsay. So that was pretty cool.
I think that's like I mean my background is I am an attorney, and so
Fair.
I'm not really afraid to ask those questions. I'm used to taking depositions and things of that nature. And my specialty is advocacy. So I mean, I feel like sometimes it's a blessing and a curse to know how to push issues, but thanks for that. Yeah, I mean, I feel like sometimes I'm like, am I the only one wondering this? And then I'll ask and people will be like, oh yeah, thanks for reminding me.
Um,
All right, I'll jump in.
yay.
Lindsay's like that all the time. She's awesome. She really, she kills it all the time in those meetings. I can just sit back and watch and think, wow, good job.
That's what I did too.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well,
thank you.
and thank you, Sarah, for covering that meeting. Yeah, I'll just share about, I had two boys. This was several years ago. Very destructive behavior, severe trauma. They were 8 or 9, I think. Had moved from foster home to foster home to foster home because they kept disrupting. Started a fire. These were little kids, and people would say, I just can't handle it. Well, then they ended up in a school up in Mount Juliet, and the kindergarten teacher expressed an interest in taking them. And this woman was she had one of the boys in her class. And so she took the two boys, she and her husband. She's a kindergarten teacher. Her husband was a youth pastor. And that was during COVID. So I had all my visits with them virtually, which I personally hate, but I did it. And we met, but I didn't feel like I was having that much of a impact with these foster parents. Well, ultimately they adopted the boys. It is such a beautiful, they have 4 children of their own, and they adopted these 2 boys. And she sends me a Christmas card every year with all their pictures. And it's just so rewarding to see this family. They look so happy. And so I got back to her this year and I said, I just want you to know, thank you so much. I think I emailed her or texted her because I still had her phone number. Thank you so much, for sharing that card every year. You have no idea how gratifying it is to get that. And she said, you were so important in those boys' lives, and you never gave up on them. And you just need to know that what you do matters. People are pay attention, and what you do matters. So hang in there.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
it was
love
very,
that.
yeah, that was a good story.
Wow, this was a really good idea of me, guys. Um, does anyone
Sarah,
else want to?
Shan,
Yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
and this has to do basically with team relationships, and it's relative to the current case that I have. When the DCS worker first came to this case, I tried to share information with her that I knew about that would help her, ease into that particular situation. But there appeared to have been some animosity between her and me, even though we were on the same team. But I've kept communicating with her, and I know you have seen some of the emails that she has sent back, but I've been communicating with her and trying to get her to understand that, we're all on the same team. We're trying to do what's best for the kids. And I think I may have broken through in this particular situation. We did a foster care review board, and she was dependent on me for some of the information. And then we had, I visited the kids at the daycare and had told her that I was going on that particular day. And she actually came to visit the kids and to observe them. So I think I'm making a breakthrough in that particular situation with DCS.
Well put. And you're not the only person that's had that experience with that worker. Anna, if you're watching this recording, you can commiserate. But yeah, I think this, especially the workers that have been doing this a long time, I think they just feel like sometimes people are just always telling them that they're not doing their job, and that can be a big bummer and put you in some kind of mood sometimes. So thank you for hanging in there with her. I guess I'll share. I was working with a youth. There was a gap in time trying to get a volunteer on a case. A volunteer had to step away. And so for a period of time, I advocated for this youth who was experiencing gender dysphoria. And I found a special therapist who had experience in that area. And that person was really able to connect with that youth. And I hope that made a difference in that youth's life. So that was kind of a cool thing. That was my thing I thought of. But yeah, well, that was fun. Thank you everybody for sharing. Les Phillip, you want to share anything, or you good to lay low?
I know.
All right, fair enough. I appreciate the perspective that you provide in your court reports. I think that they're excellent. So I'll brag on you for that.
Thank you.
Yeah. So, does anybody have anything else that they want to talk about? We've got 14 more minutes, but I'm not going to keep you just to keep you. All right. Well, I'll give you those 14 minutes back to your life. Thank you all for being here.
I have one question
Yeah, go ahead.
really quick. The email that you just sent, just general on the scheduling about like upcoming stuff. You mentioned the event or the film thing on Monday.
Yes.
Where is that located? Is
At
that
CASA's.
that's at the CASA office?
Yes, I should have made that clear.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify. Okay.
Yeah,
Thanks.
it's I'm glad you brought that up. We watched the first episode, but I don't think that you can drop in and you don't need the context from the first one. It's just a docu-series about the prison system and the juvenile justice system in Nashville. And they interview a lot of people that we work with, including Judge Calloway. So it's a very inside look at these systems that we work with. So I think it's really worth checking out. So if not, coming to CASA and taking the trip and watch it at home if you can. So
Yeah, Sarah, on that note, how do we access the first one if we want to watch that before the second?
I think you would have to have HBO.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thanks.
So it would be available there. Unless you could get it from Shelley somehow. If there's interest in that, email me. I'll try to look into that.
I have HBO, so that
perfect.
answers my question. Thanks.
Perfect. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great rest of your day.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take care.